Hello, 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 hello. Woo. Fun race, fun race, fun race. I was promised the rain, and rain never came. Disappointed, disappointed. Uh, Again, issue persisting, cannot go live. I did try. With whatever I have working for me right now, couldn't happen. So abandoned the whole idea, and yeah, we not sure for how many weekends, but we need to persist with the notebook idea that I shared in the previous video. And I will tell you, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of Babaji's notebook. Not a fan. Covered one, two, three, four, five. 5 pages, front and back. Not a fan, not a fan, eh? Not a fan. Too much hard work, too much hard work. Look at all this scribbling, man. Too much hard work. Not a fan of Babaji's notebook. Right, we covered the quali sprint race. Now we need to cover quali and then the race that has just finished. The race finished about, I want to say 30 minutes ago. I want to say. Give or take. Qualifying, let's get into qualifying. Q1, first of all. Q1, what happened? Okay, yeah. I thought I opened the sprint pages. Never mind though. So Q1, Gabby's car disqualified from qualifying because they found an issue with the car during sprint race, that the engine air intake pressure was more than what the FIA permitted. So basically an illegal engine, basically, in simpler terms, or in lesser terms than others. So the FIA found that out, and he was not permitted to take part in qualifying until they got this fixed. Then everyone was on used tires for their opening runs. George, though, after the opening laps were set, George, keeping up with the trend of the weekend till this point, the being more than half a second, being at the thicker end of half a second slower than the top pace. Kimi got up into P2. He was 0.06 from max in P1. Again, this is Q1, the opening laps and all. Not the final laps, the banker laps. Then both Alpines were slower on the newer tires. They stayed in. They stayed in the pits. They came out later on. When did they come out? I think around 8 minutes. Around that mark, they came out. They were slower on newer tires compared to others on olds. Gabby, somehow, what's his car name? Audi. Somehow Audi managed to find a fix to this supposed problem, and they managed to get the car out for Q1. They managed to give Gabby one flying lap, and didn't amount to much, but at least they got one flying lap in the session. So huge what should I say, praise for Audi, sorting out the issues, getting the car ready for Gabby so that he can have at least one flying lap in qualifying. Gabby came out with about 3.5 minutes to the checkered flag at the end of Q1. Oscar struggled on his older tires, and I think Oscar stayed out on one set of tires for the whole of Q1, and he just just made it into Q2 by about 2/10 of a second. He beat, I think it was Arvid for P16. He beat Arvid by 0.2 seconds. Oh, risky gambling by McLaren over there, but they managed to save a new set of soft tires for him to use later on. What happened elsewhere? Poor middle sector for George in the final push lap in Q1. Poor middle sector for George. Somewhat better though, but still 0.8 of Kimi, 8/10 of Kimi in P1. And then your eliminations from Q1 were Arvid, Alonso, Stroll, Bottas, Perez, and Gabby in that order, with Gabby bringing up the rear. Gabby, on his in-lap, his brakes caught fire, and he had to park up. I think it was before 10:17. He had to park up at a Marshall post, got the extinguishers out. Q2 was slightly delayed because of all that. They had to get the car cleared, fire under control, and everything. Had to make sure that the the extinguisher fluids didn't go onto the track, didn't affect track conditions and all. So delayed by, I think it was five maybe 10 minutes. Not too sure the delay length. Q3, Lando sliding on his opening push lap. So that those set of tires almost useless. Lewis comes in. Yeah, Lewis finally came into the picture. His opening banker in Q2 proved that he has pace in the car, or either that everyone else took it easy. Kimi set the fastest time, and George was finally at the top end of the field. He was about a tenth and a bit slower than Kimi. Lando finally on newer tires. He went 6.5 tenths slower to set up his banker lap. So with McLaren in Q2, Q3, Q2 mostly Oscar, Q3 mostly I want to say Lando for the most part, because in Q3 it seemed like Oscar's car was it was more under control. So basically McLaren had issues with the wind picking up, and the algorithm that decides when drivers get the extra boost of power and when they don't. So that AI learning nonsense that is going on in the sport is just nonsense. And we saw it in the race as well. We'll get to the race. What was happening? Suspected power issues going on at McLaren. Again, I think it was just that thing that the computer decides when the driver gets the extra energy boost and when it doesn't. I think that was causing a lot of issues at McLaren, especially for Oscar. Max seemed to have a better car, a better setup. He went fastest. McLarens were struggling. Wind was picking up. There was a direction change in the wind as well. And then you had your eliminations. Eliminations from top to bottom were Hulkenberg, Liam, Oliver, Sainz, Ocon, and Albon. These were your eliminations from Q2. In Q3, Oscar was slow in middle sector, and Leclerc got provisional pole. Sorry, was it Oscar or Max? One of them got provisional pole from Leclerc, and Leclerc got pole from Max. So a good tussle in Q3 for the bankers, a good tussle. And Kimi then, I think it was Leclerc, Max, and either Oscar or Lando. They were about a 128-1. And Kimi then puts in his lap and he goes a 1:27.7. So he opened up that gap by about three and a half, 4 tenths. 4 tenths is a bit much, but let's just say 3.5 tenths. And then Russell was 4 tenths down on Kimi. So Russell losing pace out again. On the final runs, Oscar was purple in sector 2, but didn't improve anywhere else over the lap. And same situations with everyone. I don't think anyone else was purple except for Max. Everyone was losing time throughout the lap. In the final run, Kimi locked up his tires on his final push lap. He couldn't mount a challenge to his existing banker lap, so that lap stood. And at the end of sector 2, in the final push lap, Max was how many? This would be 10th, 100th, was 800s, let's say 900s down on Kimi. So it was all in sector 3 for Max. And in sector 3, the place you get time, you can gain time is 10:17, that heavy braking, and the acceleration coming onto the pit straight in that bit of an S section that you have. That's where you can gain time. Max ended up losing the same amount of time that he was already down on, and finished 1.5 tenths behind in P2. Kimi kept P1, he secured pole, and Isaac Hadjar was eliminated from quali because his floorboards were protruding the limit set by the FIA. So for example, if this is your limit, then slightly more, then the FIA is going to check and penalize you. So I don't think Isaac is Isaac is it's been updated in this result. Ignore the timings, I know it's half cut. Ignore the timings, I know it's half cut. Just ignore the timings. Kimi Antonelli bagged pole from Max. Max was the only one really in contention to mount up a challenge on Kimi, but didn't pan out. Where else are we? Leclerc got P3 for Ferrari. Lando, again, McLarens were struggling. Oscar mostly in Q2, and then in Q3 I don't think he had the pace. I just think he was off pace, or maybe he had the same issues and I didn't pick up on it. Lando definitely had more struggles in Q3 than Q2. Lando seemed to have the car under control in Q2, unlike Oscar. George had been off pace the whole weekend. There was just nothing really for George. Consistently, he was about a half a second off the fastest car this weekend, whether it be Lando or Kimi or anyone else. Lewis P6, yeah, I expect Lewis to be in the lower end of the top six. The top six being two McLarens, two Ferraris, and two, what's it called? Two Mercedes cars and one Red Bull. So your top seven is basically your heavy hitters, and then everyone else is midfield. Oscar brought up P7. He was quite slow. I didn't expect him to be that slow in qualifying. But again, I think it's the power delivery issues from the battery pack that is causing headaches for them. A good qualifying for Alpine. Both Alpine cars P8 and 9. Franco out qualifying Gasly for the main race. Nico bringing up P10, and then you had Liam in 11th, Oliver Behrman, Ollie Behrman in 12th, Sainz 13th, Esteban 14, Alex 15, Arvid 16, Fernando 17, Stroll 18, and then you had the two Cadillacs, and then Gabby, again, just the one flying lap. At least he got in a lap, Gabby. And Isaac Hadjar was disqualified. it mentions right there, note disqualification for a technical non-conformity. So basically the floorboards were uh, wider than the limit prescribed by the FIA. That is the reason for that. Uh, this is qualifying done. Wait, is qualifying done. Now let's go into the race. So Isaac Hedger, having his disqualification announced on race day, there was a call to have him start in the pit lane and change a couple of things. Well, of course, they had to change the floorboards and all. That all falls into Parc Ferme, and because that was in breach, so they had to change those floorboards. Since he was already starting last, might as well just change a couple of extra things and open up the whole car for a setup change and go into the pit lane for a start. So Haja with a pit lane start, nothing else was critical before lap one. Let's get into lap one now. Lap one got messy. I may miss a few things. Let me know in the comments if I've missed something. So it was a decent push off the line for Kimi. Decent push off the line for Kimi. He, in the initial phase, he got off well. In the later phases, in the traction phases, it was okay. But Leclerc, that Ferrari we know is a demon at the start because they have the smaller turbos and Mercedes are running a larger turbo. So that is, in the first 3 rounds especially, that is what I think it boiled down to. What I think a good start boiled down to is that the turbo sizes have an impact. So off the line, Kimi had a okay start. Max was covering off Kimi. He ended up he went left to cover Kimi, ended up going right to cover Lando. So Lando had a better launch than Max, and then Max cutting across Lando, that made Lando back off. Lando also got compromised slightly, ever so slightly, on his start, on his launch. And then Leclerc from behind Kimi had a way better start. So by the time Kimi got into the traction phase, Leclerc was already side by side. Leclerc was ahead of Kimi, but then Leclerc deciding to cut across quite late into the braking zone of turn one. That's where Kimi ended up. So this is Leclerc. I don't know. Okay, this is ring, right? This is Leclerc. This is Kimi without the ring. So Leclerc on the outside, Kimi inside, and Kimi middle and Max inside. So Leclerc ends up cutting across Kimi, and then Kimi, in avoiding action, ends up locking his tires, runs wider on the outer side. Max on the inside, he just came in hot. I guess he overjudged, misjudged, underjudged, whatever. He just came in too hot, mashed on the brakes, locked his tires, and Leclerc in all this chaos just managing to go off brake, let the brakes off, and then coast around the outside of Max. Leclerc gets the lead into turn one. Kimi ran wide and he came back. Him and Max were slightly side by side. Max was forcing the issue with Kimi because turn 2 is a left-hander, turn 3 though is a right-hander, so Max was compromised in turn 2, but he knew if he just hung it in there, he might get the position into turn 3. Not happening for Max. He ended up spinning. Luckily for Max, nobody ran into the back of him. He did a full 360 and he ended up catching the car at just the right point, that when the car stopped in a line, he was pointing first of all in the right direction. Second of all, he had some momentum from the car, so he could. It wasn't like he was just a roadblock. He was moving ever so slightly, so you would get a couple of feet from the guys behind to react and judge instead of just finding a blockade in the shape of a Red Bull. Uh, so luckily nothing, no carbon confetti is happening over there, but you did have Lewis. Lewis was starting P6 and Franco P8. They came close together. They collided. Lewis picked up damage. That is one thing to note. What else happened is Kimi locked up, yes. Runs off, yes. Max spun. Contact. So there was contact in the grid. Like throughout the grid, there was tires banging. Very few body pieces flying off. Mostly tires banging, wheels locking up, avoiding action. Cars running wide in avoiding action, and then coming back. You had two cars side by side. You had three abreast, and so forth. So it was just normal chaos, but it was controlled chaos. What else did you have? Contact in the grid. Max dropped to P9. Max started on the front row. He dropped to P9 with that spin, and he was with Liam, battling with Liam for P10. Liam had his car under control. He was looking for position on Max. Nico, in all this, picked up front wing damage as well. He When did he pit? He pitted lap one, yeah. Nico pitted in at the end of lap one for a front wing change. Lewis picked up damage from Franco. Max was sliding, yeah. So basically, what happened was Max was sliding because either, well, one, the tires were either overcooked because of the lockup, or they were undercooked because of temps, loss in temps. And Max was forcing the car. When your tires are hot, overheating, let's say, and then you're putting load in the tires, they just slide across the surface. They don't give you grip, so that causes the pendulum uh, pendulum effect, where basically the weight is not 50-50 weight distribution over both axles. It's all at the back with the engine, gearbox, and all this. So if your rear ever so slightly tries to overtake your front, then you're gonna go spinning. And that's what happened with Max. And I don't know why, but it seemed like he kept his foot in. Martin Brundle especially was hinting that Max kept his foot in, and that just helped accelerate the whole process of going into a spin. What else? What else? That's about it for turn one. That's the chaos for turn one. Max and Liam were close, uh, swapping positions and all this. Max was defending from Alex and Gasly and Sainz. Uh, this is P9, 10, 11, 12, I think. These 4-5 cars got very close, very congested. On lap 3 into turn 1, Russell got Oscar. So this would be for P what? I didn't note for P what. But Russell got Oscar. I think this was for P5, if I'm not wrong. Because you had what's his name? You had Leclerc run off, you had Lando chasing him, you had Kimi after him. So this would be P4 for P4 or for P5. Russell getting Oscar. Then Hadja in P16, from his pit lane start to the start of lap 4. Hadja made it up to P16, so good position gains from him. Lewis was complaining about damage. The team did come back to him. Yes, you do have damage. Into 10:17 on lap 4, Kimi got the lead from Charles, and Lando was there or thereabouts. He was closing in, and with these two fighting, Lando was eventually on their gearboxes. On lap 5 into turn 1. So basically, just as Kimi overtook Charles into turn 17, the end of lap 4, into turn 1, the start of lap 5, Kimi had a gap and managed to keep position on. Hmm? Where am I? Uh, Kimi gets lead from Charles. Yes. And then Kimi had a basically Kimi had built up enough of a gap. He saved some battery, so into turn 1 he had some breathing room between him and Charles. He managed to keep the position, and Lando was getting close to both of them at this point because of they were battling. Leclerc into 10-11 on that on lap 5, the lap where Kimi started in the lead. He got the lead back from Kimi. So after the what used to be the first DRS straight between turn 10 and turn 11, into 10-11, Leclerc, well, before 10-11, Leclerc was just closing that gap in hunting, and then into 10-11 using DRS and straight line and all this. Leclerc managed to park it on the inside, block pass, and get the lead back. Max moved from P9 to P7. He got Franco, and also Liam as well. There was quite a scrap going on with them. I think team orders eventually prevailed, and Liam was probably told that it's Max, so let him go. That happened later on. Earlier on. But on lap 5, Max got P7 from Franco. And then Norris was through on Kimi. Kimi lost out to Leclerc and to Lando in the same lap with a couple of corners. Hedger hit. Where is it? Hedger wall safety car. Okay, so on lap 5, this took quite some time for the safety car to come out. So around the end of lap 5, the start of lap 6, you saw Hedger coming into the Mickey Mouse section, coming into that chicane under the flyovers. Uh, Basically, the entry. So 1017, that is your end point for the what used to be the first DRS zone. Then you had the uh, left-hander turn into the right-hander. The right-hander was quite sweeping, flowing, and then you had another right-hander, and then you had the chicane come. So on the entry into the chicane under the flyovers, the Mickey Mouse section, Haja ends up clipping the inside barrier and then broke the suspension, broke the wheel arms, and ended up smashing into the wall. It was quite a late call for the safety car to come out. It should have been thrown immediately. But while the Haja was in the wall, you had Norris who overtook Kimi, and that was allowed because nothing actually came up at that point that Norris overtook Kimi. So that overtake was allowed. On lap 6, overtake into turn 1 of lap 6. Overtake mode on lap 6 was disabled. Gasly, turn 17, he crashed out. This was a completely separate accident. This had nothing to do with Isaac Hadjar. This was between Gasly and Liam Lawson. So Liam was in the lead, Gasly down the back straight, closing. Liam ends up moving from the racing line to the middle. Gasly, more pace. He parked up ahead of Liam into the braking zone. Liam thought he could defend, level him into the corner. Liam misjudged. He ended up locking his tires, and then they ended up banging wheels. Now, you can't really say that Liam forced the situation or Liam is guilty. I think it was a racing incident that came off quite badly, because what happened is Liam locked his tires and Gasly banged wheels with Liam. So Gasly's car got lifted into the air, did a barrel roll, and his rear landed on top of the Tech Pro barriers. So Gasly's car was half and half, half in the air, half of the front on the well, the rear was in the air on top of the Tech Pro, and the front was on the ground. So it was a scary situation because you'd wonder how that car got up there at the first image that we got before the replays. So thankfully, it was all okay. Gasly walked away, so nothing really dangerous or life-threatening as such came through, and everyone made it safe. And Liam with this incident as well. I think Liam mostly was suffering from uh, tire temps and engine temps. He was running hot, I would say. We saw him running hot and looking for some cooler air in the sprint as well. And it was a feature in the first couple of laps as well from Liam that he would drive offline and look for cooler air. So a lot of issues that were going on in that car. Liam, I don't know, he was just trying to find a way to drive around it and ended up driving into the side of Gasly. Again, I wouldn't say it was deliberate, but a racing incident. But well, it is a racing incident, but I think Liam will get a penalty in Canada. I do think Liam will get a penalty in Canada because he couldn't come out. So if a penalty had come out, let's say 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or whatever, then Liam might have been able to come out, serve the penalty, and retire again. But not to be the case. And then at the end of lap 6, lap 7, the safety car came out. You had Max pit for hards. You had Hadja. That's when we saw his incident. We also saw Gasly and Liam's incident on lap 7 with the safety car. And Liam ended up retiring. Bottas pitted, and Nico Hulkenberg also ended up retiring with a suspected mechanical failure, but I'm not sure. I think it was a similar thing to what happened to him in, was it sprint qualifying, when he couldn't come out because of the PU. So Kimi got Leclerc, but then kept losing positions. This was the opening exchange, is the first time that Kimi got into the lead. He got Leclerc into turn 17, and then Leclerc got him into turn 11, and then I think into the next lap, turn 17, I think Lando got Kimi. So Kimi, although he looked good out front, but then he ended up losing a lot of time. And positions after that. Then you had the safety car. What happened under safety car was pretty much what I just finished saying. Your positions during the safety car, at the safety car restart, were Leclerc P1, Lando P2, Kimi P3, George P4, Oscar P5, Lewis P6, and Max P16, because Max had pitted. So these were your, well, noteworthy positions. Seems I've mixed up some ideas. Anyways, lap 12, safety car. Lap 11, well, safety car came in on lap 12. The safety car restart. Leclerc got a jump on everyone else, and wasn't under immediate pressure from Lando. Oscar got Russell for P4, and Lewis troubled George a bit. for P5, but then George stayed ahead because again Lewis had damage. Max moved into P14 in overall in that lap on lap 12, and then in lap 13 Max moved into P13. At this point he was 10 seconds behind the lead. At this point, Max was 10 seconds behind the lead. Norris was on the inside of Leclerc, took the lead into 10-11. So 10-11 again, the end of the first, what used to be the DRS zone before the Mickey Mouse section, before the back straight. And then down the back straight, Kimi blocked past, what's his name? Leclerc for P2. So actually, Lando set the move up for Kimi in 10-11 when he took time out of Leclerc and himself. And then, what's his name? Kimi ended up getting close down the back straight. Kimi kept closing in with energy and energy and the wings. The wings, man. Words are falling out of my head. And the wings being open. And then into turn 17, Kimi with the block pass got through. Lap 14 into turn 1, Leclerc fought around the outside to get back into P2, and then Lando, while Kimi and Leclerc were fighting, Lando ended up eking out a gap of a second in all this into at the end of this lap, at the end of lap 14 into turn 17. Kimi got P2 back after Leclerc had a slide, and there was side by side action, by the way, into turn 17. Leclerc wasn't close enough to attack down the start finish straight. So Kimi ended up holding on to P2, and Leclerc had to settle with P3. On lap 14, Oscar opened up a gap to Russell of over a second. Oscar was in P4 at this point, and Max was in P11. Max was slowly coming through. Lewis, though, kept Russell in check, but he didn't have anything to fight with. Lewis had damage from Franco, so that. On lap 15 as well, Oliver Behrman ran wide, and that gave Max P10. Max was 12 seconds behind the leaders at that point. On lap 16, Max became under investigation for pit lane exit line crossing. So basically, the solid white line to signify the pit exit way on the track. Apparently, Max was suspected of crossing that line rather than the one that cuts across the track, signaling the end of pit exit. He was under investigation. Later on, it came out that he will be investigated after the race. Why, I don't know. There should have been a decision made during the race. Max got Albon, but into turn 17. So basically, I think it was Max on the inside, Alex outside, and then Alex broke earlier, cut with the switchback, got Max back, and basically he went wheel to wheel with Max down the start. Yeah, down the pit straight, let's say, not start straight, pit straight. And then the fight continued, not into turn 1, though nothing really was doing, but then Max got Alex into 10-11. In the midst of all this, Leclerc was momentarily through, but then ended up losing the... Wait, Leclerc? Yeah, sorry. Oscar was momentarily through on Leclerc, but then Leclerc ended up coming back through and keeping position. So this was uh, Oscar closing in from on Leclerc throughout, and then making the move down the straight between turn 10 and 11, the first DRS zone. Uh, Oscar set that move up there, but then Leclerc on the brakes just he regained the position back, and he kept Oscar behind at turn 17, yeah, 17 and 18, yeah. On lap 19, Max gets signs for P8, Lando is P1, Kimi is P2, Leclerc P3, Oscar P4, Russell P5. And Lando sets the fastest lap. Leclerc drops 4 seconds to Kimi. Uh, Leclerc was in P3 and Kimi was in P2 at this point. On lap 20, Max was going to be investigated after the race. That notification came up. Again, nonsense notification. Investigate him right there and there in the race and dish out what you want to dish out. Lap 22, turn 1, Max passes on Franco for P6 and Russell pitted for hards. Now Russell pitted maybe to cover Max, but also the undercut was very strong in Miami, so maybe for that, and also maybe because Lewis was also thereabouts and keeping Russell in check. He came out in traffic, and Leclerc. So at the end of lap 21, Russell pitted, and during the lap of 22, the notification came out to what's his name, Leclerc, to pit in reaction to Russell and cover him off. With both of these two pitting and Max already clearing Franco, Max got P5 and then he ended up getting P6 as well. On lap 23, Russell just sneaked ahead of Leclerc. They came out basically side by side, you could say, but then Russell had warmer tires. Leclerc was on the colder tires, and he ended up losing out. Leclerc ended up losing out to Russell. With also the stop was a bit slow. The yeah, front right was a bit slow coming off, so that held Charles in just ever so slightly. Rain was always being forecasted to come. It never came. Spoiler alert, it never came. Uh, where is it? Leclerc confused about why they had to stop if rain was coming. Again, valid question from Leclerc, but he never got a respond. Possible rain at turn 7 and 8 was the prediction from the weather people in the teams. That would be the Marina corner before that, what used to be again the first DRS straight, turn 10 to 11 before that straight. That long looping left-hander. That's where the first drops were expected to come, but they never came. Lap 24, Russell stuck behind Alex in P9, and Leclerc was just behind him. Leclerc managed to tail Russell through all the traffic. And then on lap 25, both Russell and Leclerc cleared Alex. Max was closing in on Lewis, who at the time again didn't stop, and he was up into P4. On lap 26, into turn 17, Max tried to move on Lewis, but nothing happened. And because Max offset Lewis, that means that fight kept continuing, and Max tried a dive bomb on Lewis, but I don't think it paid off, unless it did. So I don't think it paid off. And then on lap 27, Kimi pits. You had Max move up into P3 or P4. The McLarens were running 1 and 2 at this point, and yeah, so that move did stick basically. Max into turn. What was this? Okay, so Max into 10-11 on Lewis. That didn't happen, but that kept Max in contention for the back straight, and then into 10-17, Max threw out a dive bomb and gained position over there. At the end of lap 26, Kimi pitted, and Max was P3. McLarens were running 1 and 2. Lewis P4, and Kimi came out P5 on lap 27. And the box call was made on Lando to cover Kimi, and Lewis as well pitted the same time as Lando. On lap 28, Kimi was on warmer tires, and he got Lando. Oscar on the next lap, on lap 28, being Oscar was then told to pit to cover for Lewis. So Oscar was never really in contention for the win. He didn't have the pace. But again, I don't think Lando had the pace as well. Kimi, I just thought Kimi was getting a bit too overexcited, and he was using battery, or the car was giving him battery in corners where he didn't need battery, or in corners where he needed extra battery, he didn't get battery. Kimi with warmer tires got Lando. Oscar pitted to cover Lewis, and then P1 for Oscar. Before he pitted, Max was in P2, Kimi was in P3, and Lando P4. Both Kimi and Lando were on Max's tail at this point. And then on lap 29, Kimi and Lando battled out in turn 1, and that gave some breathing room to Max. Kimi managed to overtake Max down the first straight, the DRS straight, what used to be the DRS straight between 10 and 11. Kimi managed to get Max over there. Max just managed to keep Lando back and into 10-17. So that heavy braking before the start finish, Lando had the inside line, just blocked Max. Max tried to switch back, but Lando already got the position, and then from there he had enough of a gap between him and Max that Max wouldn't terrorize him. Nothing doing for Max in turn 1 in terms of attacking him. And then on lap 30, P1 Kimi, Lando P2, Max P3. Franco was running in the middle here. He hadn't pitted. So your net P4 was Leclerc, net P5 was Russell, net P6 was Oscar. And then Bottas was given a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane on lap 30. On lap 33, Oscar was closing the gap to Russell. And then, between lap 30 and 33, Oscar was slowly chipping away at Russell. On lap 33, Oscar had closed the gap enough on Russell to be on his gearbox into 10-17. On lap 34 in turn 1, nothing was doing for Oscar, but he managed to stay very close behind Russell, and he made Russell drive a defensive line. On lap 35 in turn 1, Oscar got on the inside line and overtook Russell for P5. He set it up into 10-17. Didn't attack in 17, waited, and then as soon as they crossed the line and lap 35 started, so that into turn 1, he hugged or dive bombed the inside line, whatever way you want to put it. And then on lap 35, what else happened? Kimi was reporting gearbox and pedal issues. Now, pedal issues, I'm not sure if he meant the accelerator or what, because normally F1 cars don't have clutch. They only use the clutch at the race start to get off the line. Otherwise, they don't really use the clutch. So again, not sure exactly what he was hinting at. You'll have to ask Bono for that. Russell regained P5 from Oscar in 10-11. Again, the end of the first DRS zone. I'm saying DRS zone just so that you know what I'm talking about. What used to be the first DRS zone. And Oscar, and then uh, so Oscar was overtaken into 10-11. He stuck behind Russell for the rest of the lap into 10-17. Block pass on Russell for position again. So on lap 36, Lando set the fastest lap. Oscar got position on Russell, and Russell dropped to P6. Uh, on lap 38, Kimi was told to keep the tire temps down. Kimi was reporting that his rears are gone. He was sliding and all this. Bono came out and said, keep your tire temps down. Lando was in his mirrors. Lando was slowly thereabouts. Lando was also looking for cooler air. He was also going offline in the middle there. When I say in the middle, I mean the phase of the race. In the middle of phase of the race, you would see Lando going offline to get some cooler air through his brakes, through to the engine, because these cars run hot. And then on lap 39, Fernando, who was yet to stop, Martin Brundle just brought this up. He said Fernando, who is yet to stop, who started on the mediums on lap 39, is still running the mediums. He hadn't stopped, and his teammate on the other end had pitted twice by that point. So, yeah, man, kudos to Fernando, man. He's still driving well. He just needs a good car. On lap 42, Kimi was P1, 1 second ahead of Lando, and Lando was 14 seconds ahead of Max in P3. Max was 3.7 seconds ahead of Leclerc in P4, and he was 3.8 seconds ahead of Oscar in P5, who was 3.4 seconds ahead of Russell P6. And Max, at this point, you could see the tires were fading. The tires weren't there for him. He was on these tires for about 36 laps at this point, and he just didn't have anything to fight with at that point. He was just trying to keep the car on track and maintain a consistent lap time. On lap 44, Lando, outside of the 1 second, outside of that overtake mode or whatever it's called, he was outside of that zone on Kimi, and Leclerc was just 2.3 behind Max. So Leclerc was charging in on Max, and it was only inevitable that Max dropped position. I thought maybe they would have put Max on a two-stop, but they decided to stick with the one-stop. Maybe two-stop would have been faster, you never know. But okay. On lap 46 into turn 1, Leclerc on Max, on Max's rears. So Leclerc this whole time was just cutting that gap, eking it in, reeling it in, not eking it, reeling it in. And then into turn 1, he was on Max's gearbox on lap 46. Kimi got the gap up to 2 seconds between him and Lando, and Kimi at this point was on 2 track limits warnings. So there was a bit of a concern that maybe he was pushing to open up the gap, right? So there was a bit of a concern that maybe he could get a black and white flag and then a 5 second. So I was really nervous for Kimi at this point. But yeah. And then Leclerc was pushing for Max. By the time they got into turn, what was it, 17, I think, on this lap, on lap 46. By the time they got into 10-17, Leclerc was basically pushing Max along. That's how close he was to Max. And then he chose not to overtake into 10-17 because Max would have the computer system would give Max the energy boost to get through into turn 1. So Leclerc held off, and then at the start of lap 47 into turn 1, Max couldn't defend and lost the position to Leclerc. But then coming into that, again, that Marina section with the series of left-handers, the long left-hander before the first, what used to be the DRS zone. Again, that's the only way I can explain this section of the track. Max ended up being risky, bold, squeezed his car through, pushed through on Leclerc, but down again, that straight into 10-11, that heavy braking of 10-11 before the Mickey Mouse section. Leclerc ended up leveling Max and getting through. And yeah, Oscar, what happened with Oscar? Oscar at this point, because Max and Leclerc were battling it out, Oscar ended up gaining a lot of time because those two were losing time. So Oscar then, it was a 3-car fight because that's how close Oscar came. On lap 48, out of 10-10, Oscar on Max. Nothing doing for Oscar into 10-11. He didn't have enough energy. So we had to wait for the back straight, line it up for a block pass into 10-17, and then on lap 49, Max was close to Oscar, but by that time his tires were just so far gone that there was no point in fighting or regaining the position. And at this point, the start of lap 48, Oscar was 2 seconds behind Leclerc, and the fight for P3 was on because 1 and 2 were pretty much fixed. Kimi and Lando, they ran away with the race. So it was all on who's going to stand on the third podium position. Where is it? Lap 49. So then lap 50. So on lap 50, Kimi was having shifting issues, but maintained the gap, and he didn't let Lando come too close. Once he got Lando out of that 1 second zone, he kept Lando out of that, and he kept a sweet spot of about 2 seconds. At most, that gap came down to, let's say, 1.5 seconds, but it was still comfortable for Kimi. So it wasn't an easy afternoon for him. A lot of things he had to manage inside that cockpit, and he did very well. On lap 50, the positions were Kimi P1 2 seconds ahead of Lando in P2, who was 21.6 seconds ahead of Leclerc in P3. So if Kimi and Lando both pitted, they effectively had a pit stops worth of time on P3, Leclerc in P3. Leclerc was 2 seconds ahead of Oscar in P4, and Oscar was 3 seconds ahead of Max in P5, who was 4.2 seconds ahead of Russell in P6. On lap 52, Lewis in P7, he was in that position mostly for the whole race. He had damage, couldn't really go forward, but the car is not that bad that he would drop down the field. So he was just there hanging around in P7 for most of the race. And then you had the two Williams boys in 9th and 10th being pressured by the two Haas boys for quite some time until this point. By this point, that pressure had faded away, and the Haas boys had fallen back quite a lot. On lap 54, Russell reported that he felt more comfortable with the car, that the balance, let's say, was coming to him. Again, less fuel, you've burnt most of it off. Your tires are also in a different state, let's say. So yeah, probably just the lighter car was suiting him. The lighter car meant the setup as well, the balance, the handling of the car, the drivability of the car changes. So probably that was just suiting Russell more. And then Russell was closing in on Max, by the way, at this point. Oscar was a second behind Leclerc. That was the only fights I thought we would have, Oscar and Leclerc. And then on that lap into 10:17, Russell managed to get the move on Max in on lap 55, the start of lap 55 into turn 1. Russell was alongside Max, but nothing was doing because this whole move was set up on lap 56 into turn 17. So basically, what happened was what happened? Yeah, so basically, Max was ahead, and then Max kept the inside line. Russell tried the switchback, didn't work out, and then basically, where you have your that little funny section between the pit entry and the checkered line, you had that funny section, right? That left-hander turned into right-hander just before the pit straight. What happened was Max was holding position ahead of Russell, and he, well, Max ended up going wider and pushing Russell wider, so Russell ended up backing out, and in that instance, Russell ended up clipping Max's front wing. So Russell picked up damage over there. It wasn't serious, but again, every time he got on power, his front wing would scrape on the ground, sending sparks to the front right wheel. So that was a bit tense because then you would have temperatures shoot up in that wheel. You'd have grip loss in that wheel. And then where is it? Coming to the start straight, Max cut Russell off and front wing hit Max's rear tire. And then what happened was momentarily into turn. No, 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 no. No, that's something else. Okay. And then on lap 56. So basically, Russell. Yeah. Basically, on lap 56, Oscar forced Leclerc to defend for 2 laps, but in 10:17, Oscar was well ahead of Leclerc into the braking of 10:17, got the position done and sorted, and then before the start of lap 57, and then Leclerc had a huge slide. So coming out of 10:17 uh, to minimize the gap between Oscar and Leclerc. Coming out of 10:17, Leclerc had the slide, and that took away any chance of him being close and maybe mounting something into turn 1. So Leclerc lost time. He effectively gave up any fight of that position at that point. And where is it? And Russell got Max for position on that same lap in a different part of the track. So hmm? So on the last lap, Leclerc had an issue, and he who was Leclerc? So Kimi won, right? Kimi came over the line. No, no, no. It seems I've mixed up my notes. Had an issue, track spin, wall. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so it seems I've mixed up my notes. Anyway, so on the last lap, second last lap over there, Leclerc and Max They ended up getting so close wheel to wheel, fighting that hard. Well, I don't know what to say. Who did Leclerc get into that tangle with? Uh, I'm having brain fade. It's early in the morning, and I'm not able to recall what I just saw about 2 hours ago. Not wonder where. I'm wondering where this brain fade is coming from. Uh, I'm not sure what's going on. I can't recall what happened. I know Leclerc. Who was he fighting, man? He was fighting someone. I think it was Oscar, but I'm not sure. I think it was Oscar. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leclerc, I think uh, I don't know, he forced the situation and then he ended up, yeah, so Leclerc got overtaken into turn one and then I don't know, he tried carrying too much power or something. His tires, by the way, were overheated at that point. He ended up spinning. Uh, when he corrected his car, he ended up hitting the wall on the left side, front and rear tire side. He had enough control in the car to keep it on track, but overall, he ended up losing a lot of time on that lap. And then again, I've mixed up my notes. Correct me if I'm wrong somewhere. And then he ended up pushing to come to the checkered flag. And then Max and what's his name? Russell at that point, they had their tussle and they lost some time to Leclerc and then they gained time to Leclerc. And then coming to turn 17, it was 3-4 cars wide into turn 17. Leclerc lost out to Russell and Max. And then he lost out to Russell into turn 17, Leclerc. And then on the run to the start line, what's that corner called? Is it so 17, 18, 19? I think you do 10, 19. Max on the outside of Leclerc with more speed and of course the uh, lesser damaged car, he ended up overtaking Leclerc just before the line. And that is how it happened. Leclerc's spin, I forgot to note down what happened exactly over there. I just noted down that he spun. And then in the mix of all this, Kimi Antonelli wins. Kimi Antonelli joins quite an elite class. 3 poles on the trot. First career 3 poles on the trot. 3 drivers. Schumacher, Senna, and Kimi Antonelli are the only drivers to achieve their first 3 career poles in succession. Kimi, Damon Hill, and was it Jack Villeneuve or who was it? The 3 other drivers managed to get their first 3 wins in succession. But Kimi is the only standout driver in the sense that he's the only one who. Did you post it? Who posted this? Damon Hill, Kimi, and Mika Häkkinen. So these are the 3 drivers to get their first 3 career wins in succession. But Kimi is the only driver to convert his first 3 pole positions into victories, into successive 3 successive poles into 3 successive victories. So a unique record for Kimi over there. And yeah, I'm having some brain fade as to what happened in the end moments. I'm forgetting why Leclerc spun, but he spun, I know that. I'm forgetting why. I guess I was too busy noting down things to pay attention. Let's get to the race results. Kimi, your race winner, your leader, he finished 3.2 seconds ahead of Lando. Lando finished 21 seconds ahead of Oscar. Oscar, contrasting results, for both teams. You have one side of your garage so quick and the other side so slow. In the same weekend, Kimi was setting lead pace when Russell finished 43 seconds behind. Lando was similar to lead pace, but Oscar was 27 seconds behind. So, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Gap, is this gap to leader? Yeah, this is gap to leader. Okay, so it's fine. The way I phrased it, it's fine. So that's your top four: two McLarens and two Mercedes being split by the McLarens. That's your top four. McLaren double podium. They finally understand what their power unit is like in the first three races. There was this whole thing going on that Toto Wolff is hiding a lot of data about the PU, about the race spec PU that they use. So in this month, McLaren at least, they understood a lot how to how to get performance out of it. Let me just say that, because they still haven't perfected it. They still had, in qualifying especially, they left a lot of time on the table, I felt. But still, it's good progress that they made. P5 Max pulling that tractor to P5. Maybe two stop, maybe. I don't know, maybe. That's all I'll say. Maybe a two stop. Leclerc brings up P6 again, got damaged, lost a heap lot of positions. He was in P3, and then he lost out to Oscar for P4, and then I guess he was forcing the car to stick with Oscar, and then ended up cooking the tires, and then under load the tires just gave way. If I remember correctly, again, correct me if I'm wrong. Always open to that correction. Lewis damaged with the car, collision with Franco Colapinto early on, lost a whole lot of downforce early on. Stayed in P7 for most of the race, and that's where he finished. Franco, best result yet, P8, scored points for himself and his team, about a minute behind the lead. And then double points finish for the Willy boys, for the Williams. Carlos in 9th and Alex in 10th. Again, both of them are not happy, but they'll take this double points finish. They'll take it any day. For these midfield teams, it's about the lower end of the points, and if you get two cars getting the lower end of the points, it's a good day. It's a good day out. Gabby splits both the Haas boys. Oliver in 11th, Gabby 12th, and Esteban 13th. Arvid in 14th. Racing Bulls, it was not your day. It was not your day. And Checo splits the Astons of Fernando in 15th, Checo 16th, Lance in 17th, Valtteri in 18th. And then your DNFs, your did not finishes, is Nico Hulkenberg, Liam Lawson, and Gasly. And then your did not. Did he start? No, he started. So it's a DNF for Isaac Hadger as well. This is your rundown. Again, I don't know why I just had brain fade on Leclerc's whole incident. I'm forgetting why he spun. I know he spun, just forgetting why he spun. But that's your rundown for the Miami GP. Russell had been noted for moving under braking. He's under investigation. And Max is under investigation for the pit lane exit white line crossing. And I think, who else was there? I think there was Alex Albon as well noted. One or two driver else was noted after the race for a possible infringement. We'll have to wait and see what comes out. So far, nothing has come out that has popped up on my screen. Who knows? If something does come out for Max, maybe it should be a 5 second penalty. Could be a 10 second penalty. Who knows? If it's 10 seconds, he'll drop one place. If it's 5 seconds, he should be fine, I think. That's pretty much it for the weekend. The race start time was moved 3 hours ahead to avoid the storm. Good call, but I was hoping for some rain. None of it came. So disappointed in that. For anyone following the channel, there's a link to my Formula One fantasy. Formula One fantasy is completely free. You just need to have your account on the Formula One app, and you can make your own team, and let's have some fun. I don't know what my provisional points are. I don't know what my standing is in the group. Hopefully you'll join. Hopefully we can build a team and make a competition out of it. Formula One fantasy is just for fun. No money involved. It's all safe. Apart from that, nothing much really to add. Just can't go live, and notebook is a pain for me to come up with. So hopefully this thing I can sort out soon. Again, I'm having some brain fade with Leclerc. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I said something. And let's finish it here. I'll see you guys tomorrow for IPL, KKR, and SRH. Who else was it? It was G and some other ones. There was 2 matches today in IPL. I'll see you for those matches tomorrow. Like, subscribe, comment, and join my fantasy F1 fantasy completely free. You just need to have your account on the Formula One app, and then in there you will find fantasy. You just need to make a team, and let's see who outscores who on each weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow.